So I'm curious about whether your perception changed around the experience of a support worker. Did it?
Through knowing both of you and working with you over the last year, it really deepened my understanding, and it became more nuanced of the things that you are doing as support workers, and the real skillfulness of the work, and also the challenges that you experience. So it was just fantastic working with you and getting a real appreciation of how you need to show up every day with different people and show different skills, and the real flexibility that brings and the challenges. So I know that, but it deepened it again and it brought it alive. So that's actually one of the real benefits for me too, by having my relationship with you and really connecting to the work through you and the work with people, just made it much more real and alive again, because you can get very removed from all that. And the other thing is really getting a really good understanding of some of the challenges you have within working within Avivo. So even though both of you are really good at taking responsibility for addressing things within Avivo, it meant for me, and I wasn't going to fix it for you, but it meant I could have deeper understanding, and therefore I did take it into other things that that I felt needed to be addressed as a result of what I learned through you.
So I'm really curious about what you took from this organisationally. So you talked about what happened in the relationships and how they've developed and how we've developed. And I was wondering how that might have influenced what you took from that and how did you implement it organisationally.
I don't think it's done as far as what needs to be done organisationally, but I think it really consolidated something that will take further work for do. So for example, your real interest in reflection and developing reflective practice, I think is so exciting. I just imagine a future where so much more where support workers and all of us are really thinking about how we're actively thinking each day about what we've done and what we'd like to do differently, and how we can really lift our work and continue to develop our work on a day-to-day basis. And I think that would be pretty amazing. The work we did, Rye, in relation to the really thinking about the valued role that support workers do, and it was such a complex journey. I think it is complex to try and unpick it, but I feel even more motivated now. I'd love to change the job title, I'd love to do things, but I think we got to that fundamental thing about how we employ support workers and value them as a professional within the sector is something really fundamental we need to do within Avivo and other organisations. So that's not a quick fix, but something about really getting to the complexity involved with it and how important it is. So we can do lovely campaigns and make it all look pretty about saying how we value support workers, but if you don't pay people a decent wage and give them security of work, that doesn't feel genuine.
Did you notice any changes in us through the process of the coaching?
So I feel like with Rye, you and I knew each other a bit to start with, but during the year, I still just saw you grow more in confidence. So there was a nice aspect about being more confident to show your whole self, I suppose. And of course, because it was the year of COVID and there was all those demands, it was like your preparedness to be really open about the challenges that you were seeing. And the other thing I think about then seeing your thinking in relation to, you're really strong on the sort of scientific method and your knowledge with data and all that sort of thing, but really being able to see you get more confidence in relation to your skills and knowledge as far as this work we do, the working in the sector. So, yeah, and more clarity of thought with that. And with Nat, because you were, our relationship was new. First of all, you got over the fear of actually meeting with me, and then it was just like this whole flowering of your of the relationship. So you might have been like that anyway, I don't know. But then just getting more and more confident and about what you do and the whole, real confidence in your knowledge. But I love the way that over the time you continue to explore your thinking about how you work and how you bring your really best work to what you do with people.
It's not so linear, it's more of a lateral, like how we're going to look at different ways of doing these things. So, I wonder if part of that was inspired by COVID as well as, just the way that you like to sort of look at things from different perspectives as well.
Yeah, through that year with you and Judith, I was pulled up a few times about not looking after myself and how that plays out. It somehow keeps playing out even though I'm aware of it.
Yeah, well, we are like that, aren't we? There's always things, something, but it doesn't mean to say you can just say, oh, click that switch, I won't do that anymore. It's going to be part of you that you keep on saying, it's showing up again. So I was saying I think it'd be really exciting to have something with more support workers from Avivo being involved, but still having a bigger program where you could have connection and work with other colleagues who work with other organisations. And I think that's pretty exciting to think about in the future, like in the next year, how we could do that. How we could get more people to nominate. Yeah, and so you were saying, weren't you, that you had to be tapped on the shoulder for it. You wouldn't have dreamt of doing it. And we're drawn to support work because you want to support others.
There's something intrinsic about support workers that means that they put themselves before other people. Do they?
If we were to do this again, what would you do differently?
I think going forward, it'd be really good to do another, do it again, but with us having continue to have more support workers engaged through the process, nominated as a cohort from Avivo, but seeing that also happen with other organisations. So I still keep the cross-organisation, but with a larger cohort. I would do things like, I think developing the relationship with the CEO is really good, and I'd like to see that happen, but I'd probably give it a go next time of doing it as a group. So if we had sort of 6 or 8 people from Avivo being involved with it, I'd really also see that then we might do our development work, the mentoring, coaching work as a group. And I would also want to see us really making sure we're doing it with partners in the community. So other like-minded organisations really investing in having people come along. And I think it'd be great to get some people who are also working for people who are self-managers. Because at the moment it's people who work for organisations, but not necessarily people who have a direct relationship with self-managers. It would be pretty good to have that involved. So in closing, I'd like to say I think it's really important that we find ways of building and nurturing this way of working with our young and emerging leaders. I just think that they have so much potential, and if we find ways to support their development now and into the future, that we'll really be able to develop a system that's so much better for people with disabilities, their families, and everybody who's employed in the sector.